Hello everyone and welcome to episode 14 of the Kingfisher Knits podcast. My name is Madeleine and I'm talking to you from my home in Zurich in Switzerland, where I live with my husband and our two young children. But I am originally from the UK. And this is a podcast where I talk about my adventures in knitting and the fact that I am a knitting pattern designer. And I would like to try to always remember at the beginning to say thank you very much for coming back and watching another episode if you are already a viewer and a subscriber, and if this is the first time checking me out, thank you very much for coming along and taking a look at what I have to show you all. I feel like today is not super heavy on the knitting content, but actually there's also a lot of details which I think are of general interest to a lot of people. So I'm going to jump right in with my first topic, which is the Indie Gift Along 2017. So for those of you who have never heard of this, once a year, this is the 5th annual Indie Gift Along, or KAL. It is hosted over on Ravelry. It is organised by a group of independent designers, and basically independently published designers, so people who have patterns for sale in their own Ravelry store, can collect together. They come together and they all put up selections of their patterns up for sale for 25% off for a 1 week period. So that 1 week period has begun. It started at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, US, on the Tuesday the 21st of November, and it will run until the end of Tuesday the 28th of November, again Eastern Time. So I think it finishes midnight on Tuesday the 28th of November. The KAL part of the KAL, so the knit along or crochet along, started also when the sale kicked off, and the KAL part ends on December 31st. The idea is that you support independent designers. You purchase one of their patterns or more, and you knit patterns belonging to indie participating designers throughout the KAL. And there is this general feel of a gift along, so often patterns which are for small accessories and the like are popular for those reasons, but it's not exclusive to that. People will also knit scarves and shawls and sweaters and blankets during that time. And people also use it as a chance to stock up on patterns from the independent designers, even if they know, obviously, they're not going to get round to perhaps completing those items for the KAL. And something I've already been doing myself is going around and picking up patterns, either which I'd already heard of or ones that I've already seen people posting about on Instagram and being like, that's beautiful, I have to go and get that. And I will be talking in a minute a little bit about what I actually hope myself to knit as part of the KAL. But I am one of the independent designers. There are 311 this year. And so that means that I put together a bundle, which actually for me includes all of my patterns, which are currently for sale in my Ravelry store. They are all available at 25% off throughout the sale period. So until midnight on the Tuesday the 28th, you can get any of my patterns 25% off, and the code is GIFTALONG2017. I will put that very prominently down in the notes in the description box below where I put my links on where to find me. I will immediately have the code for the KAL, so the code for the sale for the KAL. I will also put the link to my bundle of patterns so you can find it easily, and I will also put the link to the Indie Gift Along group on Ravelry where you can join in for the KAL. This is where you must join in if you want to then be eligible for prizes and the like, and it's a lot of fun. So the KAL is split up into 8 different topics. I'm not going to list them all now, but it's things like, things for your head is one topic, things for your hands is another topic, small items for the neck, and so on and so forth. And so you can join into each of those threads, chatting away, saying what you're going to be making. There is only one FO thread, but there are also game threads, which are hosted throughout the KAL. There are 2 which I know of. One is called Designer Alphabet, so they will make an anagram out of the designer's name and you have to guess. You have to say which is the name of the participating indie designer. And the other one is the Designer Hunt, and for that one, you get given different clues. Sometimes it will be a text clue talking about that person and how perhaps they describe themselves, things that they like, and a design. Others will be pictorial clues, and to answer those you have to reply. All of these actually to answer you have to send direct messages on Ravelry, so that you can't write into threads so that they don't get all clogged up with people's answers. So then you had to say who's the designer and the design. And I was actually scrolling through it yesterday. I haven't been quick enough to see one before it got solved, but some of them take some time. And one of them which I saw, I knew because the designer, it was a hat pattern which I had actually tech edited for Linette Grayum, who is another participating designer for the indie gift along. So that was a lot of fun when I saw that. And I was like, yes, that's her. But someone had already answered that one. So it's just a little thrill and it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of support throughout the GAL. So the idea is that obviously people, knitters and crocheters are participating in making the items, but also that the independent designers are trying to make something and that they are also participating and checking the threads. And so, if you have a problem with one of their patterns, you can magic link them in Ravelry. They'll read and they'll get back to you. So it's something that's very interactive and very much about community. I also wanted to say that I'm using my Instagram stories throughout this first week of the GAL to promote and draw light to certain patterns from certain indie designers which I have a relationship with. So people that I have worked with or chatted with a lot on Instagram, or just fallen in love with their patterns. I'm choosing typically about 3 patterns from each of them, and I'm posting a picture of those with the name of the pattern and the designer up on my Instagram story, so you can use that as something to look through for possible ideas as well. And of course I'll be posting things on Instagram here and there. So the pattern that I was hoping to possibly actually get knit myself during the GAL is a pattern by Emily Williams, or Emily K. Williams. She is how she is written as a designer on Ravelry. She's Flutterby on Instagram. And I have a pattern of hers, which is for this beautiful hat. Now I'm going to try and pronounce it in a second. There we go. And there's a bit of glare there. But perhaps you can tell that you have one colour underneath that layer of hat, and then on top you've got this beautiful fluffy lace work, which is done in merino silk. So this pattern, if I manage to pronounce it correctly, is called, well, I would say Drumashie. So drum, the word drum, A-S-H-I-E. There we are. I have this pattern as part of the ebook Lost in the Woods, which it was done by 3 designers, one of which is Emily, one of which is my friend Robyn, who lives here in Zurich, and the other one, excuse me, was Julia. So this is a pattern of Julia's there. It's a really nice shawl pattern. So this is the Lost in the Woods collection. So I bought that when it first came out. And so I have all of these patterns, and I was thinking of knitting this hat. Now, I didn't have, at the time, any of the mohair silk yarn in my stash. I've now been working with the mohair silk yarn in my shawl, which I'm knitting with stranded dyeworks yarn. But I did have this skein of Primo fingering from the Plucky knitter. I don't remember, I'm afraid, what colourway name this is, and I don't seem to have the tag in the middle of the cake, which is very strange for me. It's coming up pretty true on screen. It's a little bit more foresty than that. This is sort of making it look a bit more jewel-like, but that's pretty accurate. Primo fingering is a superwash merino cashmere nylon blend, which is a very nice, and I think would be beautiful as the underlayer of that hat. And my very good friend Robyn, who has a beautiful 2-colour brioche shawl knit in lace weight merino nylon. Merino silk. Okay, let's start again. My very good friend Robyn has a beautiful 2-colour brioche shawl, which is knit out of lace weight mohair silk blend. There we go. It's called Pravigan, and I featured it on my stories yesterday, and she had some leftovers which she very kindly donated to the cause. So this is Ito Sensei. This is a 60% mohair, 40% silk. You can see there, lace weight yarn. It's very fine. and very, very soft. This is a good deal softer than Kid Silk Haze. And I have plenty here to be able to make the hat. So that just seems perfect, and it's a beautifully Christmassy type project, and I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's probably going to be quite a warm hat, to be honest, because although it's a fingering weight hat underneath, this yarn is very warm when it's knit up. So I think it will be lovely. I'm not sure if they have colour names. Yes, Snow Grey is this colour of this beautiful yarn. So it kind of seems like a sign that this all came together at once. That Emily is a participating designer, and Robyn just gave me that yarn just last week, so I think I have to cast that on. Okay, that is all of my fairly hefty intro today, although I think it was full of very useful and interesting information. And if you are a lover of the knitting community and the like, you should definitely go and check out the indie design gift along group on Ravelry. So I'm going to go into my whips. I do have a bit of a sore throat and a dry cough, so I have to struggle sometimes not to cough. We shall see how this goes, because I know it's really annoying to have all this ing all the time. All right, so I'm just going to show you two whips today, but one of them is a whip that you have not seen before. So first I will show you the whip you have seen before. These are the socks, which I had started and shown you last week. Last week I was around about here. I had knit the cuff and down at the cinema. Since then, whenever I've been wanting completely mindless knitting, I have knit the heels and knit a good bit more of the foot. I think, yeah, I'm not that far away, because I think I checked this time. I made my cuff a bit longer than I normally do. Typically, I don't knit my socks always as long that you can sort of fold them over and the cuff is the same length as the foot. These ones will be about like that, so I think I've got a sim about to there to go before I put in my toe. So these I don't pull them out to work on all the time. I try to keep them as something, my handbag to go and play with, to work on while kids are playing. And just in case you didn't watch last time, this is an Opal yarn. It is part of this Viridian's Shaft Pattern range, and it is in this Kim colourway, which is 7951. Lots of fun. I bought this from Suffolk Socks, and this is what it's looking like in the cake. So a very fun rainbow self-patterning project. Okay, living in this beautiful project bag, which was made for me by my friend Vikki Bird. She's Vikki Bird Designs. She is also participating as a designer in the gift along, and I am featuring her patterns today on my stories, so you can look at my Instagram stories. Well, by the time you watch this, that will probably be gone. But I will definitely put in her link down below, so you can quickly reference her gift bundle. Her sale bundle, sorry. All right, whip number one. Whip number two is something you've never seen before. So living in this, I've already put it into this beautiful foxy project bag, which I have here, which is from Witherbutton, which I bought here in Zurich. So I bought a sweater's quantity of some very lovely DK weight wool. I bought this wool from an online shop in France, but the yarn itself comes from the Faroe Islands, and from what I understood, there is some information written in English, although what comes on the tags is definitely Danish. This is wool from the Faroe Island sheep, and it is blended also a little bit with Falkland Merino. It's a non-superwash yarn. It is a 3-ply. And they don't have a huge number of colours. I picked this sky blue and a contrasting, just natural undyed yarn. And what did I pick that for? This is colour work. Oh, goodness. Isn't it beautiful? So, I feel like I'm all over the place here. I did bring along the pattern. This is the Arboreal sweater. There we go. And you can see the original sample. This is by Jennifer Steingass or Gas. I was going to say Steinglass, but it's not. It's GASS at the end. She has quite a selection now. She's knit.love.wool on Instagram. And if you don't follow her, you should, especially if you love colour work, because she has a beautiful selection of colour work sweaters, all yoked as far as I could tell. And I've actually been watching them for a little while now, and when she came out with this one, I mean, all of them are beautiful. I like them all. When she came out with this one, I went immediately and bought it when she had it on a promotion. And she's also running a KAL for this at the moment. I haven't actually checked out the KAL group yet. I really feel like I should. And so this is the only place that there is colour work. The rest of the sweater is all just knit in the main colour. I'm not sure if there's another picture in here. Don't think so. No. So I wanted to knit this, and I wanted to knit it in the right kind of yarn, you know. And I also don't have a sweater's quantity of DK by any means in my stash, even if I wanted to do things differently, let's say. So I knew I had to buy yarn, and I was sort of often following posts from this designer, and at one point she posted a beautiful picture of 5 sweaters, I think, which had all been test knit by one test knitter. And I just replied saying, to the post saying, I can't wait to knit my arboreal sweater, still wondering what yarn to get. And this lady who had knit these 5 sweaters replied and saying what she had knit her arboreal sweater out of, which was this yarn. She'd bought a darker blue colourway. And so I just thought, well, she's knit a bunch of these sweaters, so she must know what she's talking about. I went to look at the yarn. I could see that it was said that it's, it's rustic, but it's not very rough. Like, it's not prickly. Like, it's kind of rough to your hands compared to merino, but not prickly. So just like really sturdy feeling. And putting it up against me, it feels absolutely fine. I did do a little swatch, which is in here somewhere, which I blocked. Should be in here somewhere. Oh dear. I also have a bunch of needles in here because I'm using a sort of mishmash of different needle sizes. Anyway, I did a little swatch in the round and blocked it, and it's just beautiful. I don't know, it like fluffs up. It's the squishiest, loveliest thing. It's like really properly woolly wool, and it's really not rough. It's not prickly at all. It's just not butter soft, but it's not prickly. I'm trying to explain, like, you don't touch it and go, oh, that's so soft, but at the same time you touch it and you don't feel any prickle or roughness of an irritating kind. So I've never knit with yarn that has quite this feel, and I have to be honest, I'm struggling a little bit on the colour work because I wanted to hold both my yarns in my left hand. I'm a continental knitter, and I can do colour work with one in each hand, but I wanted to do it this way, where you hold them both in the same hand, like this. But they grip to each other so much that when you're knitting like 3 stitches of one colour and you're obviously pulling that yarn up, it's pulling the other yarn up with it, which then is like super floppy, and I can't get a nice use that nicely to make a nice stitch when I need to switch to the other colour. So that's been really, really, really bugging me. So I've gone back to knitting it with one yarn in my right hand and one yarn in my left hand, and I'm just not fantastic with holding the yarn in my right hand, and it's quicker for me to do it that way at the moment, because otherwise I was constantly stopping to adjust my yarn tension when I had them both in my left hand. But it's kind of annoying me, and I'm feeling like I'm being stupid and I'm like not getting something right. Anyway, it just means it's very slow going on the yoke. And maybe that's good, that therefore, I love how this looks. I really love how colour work looks. I want to get better at knitting it. I want to know how to do it better. And I feel that's only going to happen by doing it. And I also want to try and do colour work using, the right kind of yarn. So I probably should try around with different things. There's nothing negative about this yarn. It's just for me, how I'm trying to knit the colour work. It's working against me a bit, so I'm very much looking forward to getting into the part where I'm not working the colour work anymore, which is the rest of the sweater, which is all just, knit in the round. So that's going to be absolutely fine. Anyway, I would also say that this yarn is very good value. I will include a link to the shop where I bought it. I bought this sweater's quantity, which is, so I bought 10 50-gram skeins. So these actually, they come all like balled up like this. You see there's lots of skeins in there. So I bought 10 50-gram skeins of this, and I bought, whereas the undyed yarn came in 100-gram skeins. So I bought one 100-gram skein of that. So that in total is 600 grams of yarn. And including shipping, I think it cost me 60 euros. People don't normally talk about how much yarn costs on their podcasts. Sometimes they do. I don't really have a problem talking about it. I think like when you're talking about indie dyers yarn, sometimes you don't talk about how much it costs. I don't know, maybe it's some sort of respect also to like not go banding about other people's prices or something. This is not really an indie dyed yarn. It is a commercial yarn at the end of the day. And I think I think it's very good value, and I'm happy to say that. I've actually seen that the people who have the shop where I bought this from, which I'm so annoyed I can't remember the name for right now, have just done a collaboration with Isabel Kramer. She has designed a yoked sweater in this exact yarn, and they're currently selling kits for that as well. So I will definitely include a link to their shop. Anyway, in the minute, I'll just enjoy. It's not, I mean, my colourwork, it will block out and look better, but even now, it still doesn't look terrible, at least in my opinion. I don't expect perfection. I don't know what perfect colourwork looks like, so maybe one day I'll see some and think how I was falling short, but anyway. This is making me very happy, especially thinking of having it at the end. So it's not one where I'm enjoying the process a whole amount at the moment, but that's all right. I'm sure I will get better. So, and I will talk a little bit more about needles and what I chose to do once I'm more done with that project and I'm seeing what I'm doing. I'm basically changing up needle sizes depending what section I'm working, just for how I know my tension probably is going to be. Okay, so those are all my whips for today. I can't believe that that I have another sweater on the needles in one way because I have another garment on the needles, but as I said last time, that is my Recoleta cardigan by Joji Locatelli. That's the one I started originally for our garment Firsts KAL. I'll do that in just a second. And I really, really, really like that. It, as I said before, is in dark yarn and following charts, 2 different charts, and you have to follow the charts. And sometimes you have to follow the charts on the wrong sides too. I mean, as in it's not just, knitting the knits and purling the pearls. So it's now dark in the evenings. I am generally busy all day. I don't do a huge amount of knitting during the day unless I'm out with the kids, in which case that's not the kind of knitting I can do. So I used to be knitting on that sometimes in the afternoons, and to be honest, it's drawing in, it's getting dark, and it's just not something I've been drawn to sit close to the lamp and knit on something where I've got to have really good light to see everything. I hope I will pick that up again properly soon. I mean, I've knit a few rows since I last showed it to you, but I needed another garment of satisfaction. I needed something that was easier to work on. That's got lighter yarn. Yes, of course, it's in the evening. I still need to look at the chart, but it's not, I don't look at the chart all the time. I look at the chart once at the beginning of the row. I work one repeat and then it's done. It's so intuitive. I'm not struggling with it. I've made one mistake so far in all those rows, and it was 2 stitches. So I literally dropped it down, fixed it, and pulled it back up again. I didn't have to rip back. So that's more a garment knit that's currently suited to my current abilities. Abilities seems like the wrong word. Situation. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, but that still counts. That still qualifies for our garment Firsts KAL. That is a KAL which you can find over in our Ravelry group. I have the Kingfisher Knit Ravelry group. Links will all be down below. And in that thread, we're chatting away about what we're knitting. And to qualify for the garment Firsts KAL, you are knitting a garment which is in some way new to you. Be it the weight of yarn that you're using, the techniques that you're using. So for example, this would be my first adult colourwork sweater. I haven't knit a colourwork sweater before. I've knit colourwork little mitts for my son. I knit a colourwork hat for my daughter when she was tiny. I knit a colourwork dress for my daughter with a yoke. But I've never knit an adult colourwork cardigan. I never knit an adult DK weight sweater. So I think this qualifies. Although I don't qualify for my own KAL. I'm just saying, joining in the spirit. And I had one lady contact me who's actually a very good test knitter for me, very experienced knitter, and she was like, I don't think I can find something I haven't done before. And I said, okay, you've done a lot of different things. For me, it's enough that you pick a sweater pattern from a designer you've never used before, you know, something like that. So, you know, if you've knit a lot of sweaters, then you might have to, you know, struggle a little bit harder to find something that's completely new. But if you only knit a couple of sweaters, then it really shouldn't be hard for you to find, you know, really to use different types of yarn or different techniques rather than just a different designer. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I do have one FO for you today. I'm just going to pop them on. I'm thinking that people who've watched this before will guess quite quickly that I have finished my bonbon mitts. So the bonbon mitts, this yarn blows out horribly on this, with my camera here. It is a yarn that I would call electric purple, but it doesn't matter how far I put back. It never quite gets to the right colour. I mean, it's almost there, but it's still coming out neon. Anyway, this is a beautiful yarn. This is yarn from Hedgehog Fibers. It's the Spell colourway in their Merino DK. By the fact that it blows out, it means you're not quite getting the contrast that you need to see the lacework here, which is on the back of the hand. By eye, you see it very clearly. This is a pattern from Joji Locatelli. It was in the 21st issue of Pom Pom magazine, which was their 5th anniversary issue. It's knit all in twisted rib, and then with this lace here, and there are little pom-poms on it. I've realised that if I want to wear these, which for me means going around outside with kids in tow, having little pom-poms on them is not going to work. I kept saying that I was going to put them on and try it. I mean, actually, I did put one on, and I just love it. I'm just kind of annoyed that it's like not something that I can really afford. But I still love that they're long. You can turn them up if you want them to be a bit, you know, a bit shorter. And this is why, well, it's not the only reason. This pattern is knit in twisted rib, completely twisted rib. So twisted knits and twisted pearls. And that pulls it in even more than if you were just to knit twisted knits. But if you didn't knit twisted pearls, then when you turned over the cuff, you would not have twisted knit stitches still on show. So it makes them, you know, the cuff completely reversible. I haven't actually weighed how much yarn I used on these yet. I need to do that. To me, I still looks like I've got quite a hefty bit of yarn left. I think that's here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that were only a bit less than half the skein. I need to weigh it to see. Probably used a bit more than half a skein of DK weight yarn. I knit the smallest size. I have very small hands. And yeah, just for people who are interested and like to see tags, this is the Merino DK Hedgehog Fibers from Hedgehog Fibers in the Spell colourway. So I'm very happy to have them as an FO. I can enter them into the Hiya KAL, which I have not done yet. I need to take a photo of them. Taking a photo of mitts, I like mitts to be on when you take a photo of them, and I generally take all my photos, so far I haven't managed. I might get my daughter to see if I can get her to take a picture of me, my hands at least, wearing them. So that is whips and FOs and all knitted items to show you for today. I want to briefly mention that apart from the garment Firsts KAL, I have 2 other KALs going on in my group at the moment. Those are for my Artemis shawl and for the Stracciatella shawl. The Stracciatella shawl has actually been doing fairly well in terms of some people already picking it up in the indie gift along sale. But I don't know if everybody knows that there's a KAL going on for it. So, you know, if you do intend, currently the deadline for that KAL was, both of those KALs was set to be middle of December. I'm always generous with my KALs. If I can see that a decent number of people are interested and would like it to go on a little bit longer, that is something that I'm going to be doing. So I've been recently looking through things that I had set aside, thinking that they might be good for prizes. So this was a project bag which I bought, which came as one instalment of a 3-month club with fondant fibre in the UK. It is a very good sized project bag, and I have decided that given something you're about to see, given that I have enough project bags, and this one is one that I personally don't see myself using so much, again with kids around. This is so beautiful. Some people are wonderful at keeping white and cream things white, even when they have children. I'm not. So I just think, while I love this and I could use it and I would use it also, not least for the size, which is fantastic, I feel some other people would be really, really happy with this, and so this should be a prize. So that is 100 grams of yarn, 200 grams of yarn, 400 grams of yarn comfortably in there, just so you can see. And it's not even filling out the corners here. So I wouldn't quite call it a sweater size bag if you were really knitting yourself a sweater, but definitely, you know, a sizable shawl or a kid's sweater or the beginning of a sweater. So perhaps that will have to go for the garment Firsts KAL, but I'm not 100% decided yet. Other gifts will definitely involve yarn, and I think at least, so I have a couple of lovely project bags from Suffolk Socks, which might be paired together with yarn. We shall see. That will probably be paired together with minis. All right, so the final thing that I want to talk about, which is kind of stash enhancement / get your yarn wishes granted. So I'm first going to show off one piece of stash enhancement that I have. Excuse, this is a bag of my kids, but it's a really nice strong canvas bag, so I put into it some. So it's clear that I'm on a garment kick, and not least that I have so many garments that I know that I want to knit, and I had like the yarn for none of them. I have one fingering weight sweater's quantity of yarn. I had nothing else really. I have almost sweater's quantity of Let Lope yarn, which I have a design idea for, which is sort of mulling around. And then I have what I'm already knitting garments out of, which are 2 garments on the needle, so it's not tons. So I needed to buy another sweater's quantity of yarn, and it had to be DK weight because that's just clearly where I am at the moment. Just knit a huge DK shawl, now already cast on that DK weight colourwork sweater, Arboreal, and I've known for a very long time that I wanted to knit the Radiate sweater from Joji Locatelli. I do not have that printed out, actually. Let me see if I can get it here quickly, because if you haven't seen it, I think it helps to see it, given that what was I going to say? Given that then I'm going to explain to you what colourways, so what I've bought and how I'm using it. So this is the Radiate sweater by Joji Locatelli. Can you see there? I see plenty of glare. But hopefully what you can see is that there is one main colour and then this contrast colour, which dominates at the top and then is used less and less as you go out into these, as you form the kind of, it is a yoked sweater really, but it's not, I believe, 2-stranded colourwork. Now I'm kind of wondering, but anyway, that's part of the Interpretations Fall 4 collection, which came out last year. And I have bought this to make mine. So this is my first ever yarn purchase from the Wool Kitchen. I bought 4 skeins in this colourway. This is her Heterochromia colourway. So if I turn, so that's her label. And this is 100% BFL, superwash and DK weight in the Heterochromia colourway. It's showing up really perfectly on there. It's ever so slightly darker grey, but it's a bluish, it's like a bluish storm grey, I would say. And then you have this section where obviously the yarn was left undyed and has got these neon speckles on top of it. This is very similar to, if you know, the colourway which Katie from Inside Number 23 had, basically the colourway like this but without the blue. So it's the cream or the natural undyed base with these neon speckles just in one area, so that when you knit you have a cream. She was knitting a cardigan, which I think she frogged, but a cardigan with these like beautiful neon speckles around. So I have that to be the main body, and the skein which will go all around the top is this one here. And this is her Geek colourway. So I just think that that's going to be an awful lot of fun. And I can't wait to cast that one on too. But this will be waiting. I'm going to be good. And this will not be cast on until I have cast off either the Recoleta cardigan or the Arboreal sweater. Of course, what will happen is I will get into the boring stockinette part of the Arboreal Sweater and at some point say, well, I need to cast on something new. But I'm going to try really hard. Like, if I'm bored of knitting stockinette round and round and round, I should be knitting on my Recoleta cardigan, which is complicated lace, not casting on something new. So I'm going to use that just as fuel to get me to knit my other garments quicker. I'm really happy that I have this, and I just think it's so beautiful. All right, so that was me granting my own wishes, but many of you probably noticed, excuse me, many of you probably noticed that on Instagram, was it 2 weeks ago now, maybe 10 days ago, they had the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted hashtag and picture floating around. The idea there is that you can, you look at other wishes that other people have, you grant wishes, and for each wish that you grant, you can post a wish that you would like. So I went around granting wishes. I got some people patterns from their Ravelry queues. I sent out a few packages and skeins of yarn here and there. I've just heard that all of those have been received, so that's really nice to hear. And I received a few packages myself. So I asked, once I had granted all the wishes, I asked for one skein of special indie dyed yarns, such as, my suggestions were, Wool and Vine or Hue Loco. And my lovely friend Shauna Knits, Shauna Knits on Ravelry, sent me this beautiful skein of Hue Loco yarn. It's getting a little bit washed out. It's a very delicate green, but it is richer than that. Yeah, I don't know quite why that's getting quite so washed out. But you can see here the beautiful tonality of it. It's a touch darker than that. It's a bit more green. And this is on her Luxe sock base, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And she sent it in a beautiful, in with the package was a lovely sachet of lavender. So it smells divine as well. And I have Hue Loco yarn. Amazing. So that was, I think, my first wish to be granted. Someone bought me a pattern from my Ravelry queue, which was very, very lovely indeed. I also asked if anybody would be willing, and I thought this was very unlikely, to part with a copy of Liner magazine. So Liner magazine is a magazine which has been around for a few months now. I don't know how often they publish. I think they publish every season. Is it 4 times a year, like Pom Pom Quarterly? It might be less than that. So this one, I got, and someone sent me the second copy, a copy of the second issue of the Liner magazine. So I hear some people call this Lane magazine, which makes sense to me that people would call that Lane magazine. But I believe I heard someone say that this is made by a pair of women who a Scandinavian, I believe, from Finland, and that the word is liner. Anyway, many people call it Lane magazine. One of the first times I ever heard it referred to, it was called Liner magazine. So anyway, that's what the word is. It's another one of these magazines that's a book, almost a book. And it's got recipes and beautiful patterns. And I received this from the very lovely Sharon, who is Pink Lime Crafts on Instagram. And she actually said she had both 1 and 2, and I could pick. And I chose issue 2. And the reason I chose issue 2, it has lots of beautiful patterns in it. It has one of Andrea Maury's shawls. It has some beautiful sweaters, such as this one by Isabel Kramer. I really love the details on that and the drop shoulder. It also has, very excitingly, a pattern from Suzanne Summer, who is Susie Knits. So it's got this beautiful pattern by her. And now, excuse me while I flick through for a second. Talk amongst yourselves. I should have marked this, shouldn't I? So I really like, it's also got one from Leslie Robinson of Knit Graffiti. So she's famous, I would say, for her beautiful brioche type thing. So that I'm definitely interested in. But the reason I picked this magazine when she gave me the offer was the Birkin sweater. So after my current problems with knitting colour work, this scares me a little bit, but I love it so much. I know for sure one day I'm going to attempt to make that. I'm aware that this has some rows of three-stranded colour work. So this one may have to wait a little while, but I think it's just beautiful. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks. And I've loved it ever since I first saw it. So for that alone was enough for me to say, please send me number 2, not number 1, if you don't mind. So I have not read anything from this yet, but I have flicked through it a lot, and I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and reading it. So I also asked if anybody would be I didn't think it would happen at all, would be willing to part with a Little Bobbins or So Sweet Violet project bag. And I got replied back in a very short time, first actually from Jules, So Sweet Violet herself, that she would love to fulfill my wish. And this arrived yesterday, and I'm totally and utterly in awe. So I have this beautiful project bag from So Sweet Violet. I have a beautiful, where's the wrong side? This one is different from anyone I've seen of hers before. I don't know if it's a newer design or even an older design. This canvas is gold glit shimmer. Can you see there? And obviously all her beautiful little birds. All her things always have these beautiful bird motifs. Had a lovely little card with a little birdie on the back there. And this bag inside has her logo, So Sweet Violet. It has 2 pockets, very good size. It has a D-ring inside, which I really appreciate. I love D-rings also on the outside, but a D-ring on the inside. I mean, it's not a D-ring, is it? This is a ring. Often they're D-rings when they're on the outside. This is just a ring, and I just think that's really wonderful. It's a beautiful drawstring bag. Definitely, I would say a shawl size. And she also included a beautiful little set. Okay, now I'm going to be crinkling away an incredibly beautiful set of a progress keeper and some beautiful ring stitch markers. There. Don't you just love this progress keeper? Look at that. So I feel thoroughly spoiled. And just after Jules replied, someone else replied and said that I could have their Little Bobbins bag, to which I replied and said, thank you very much, the wish has been fulfilled, and I'm being sent a bag, a So Sweet Violet bag, so I would not, I can't say yes because that would be taking advantage. And she said, no, I said you can have it, you can have it. So I also got a Little Bobbins bag, and I feel really, really, really grateful and a bit spoiled. But these are 2 things. I've wanted bags from these ladies for such a long time, and I stalk their shops, and I never managed to. Jules on So Sweet Violet, I tend to have this habit of getting it wrong when I'm meant to turn up. Little Bobbins, I've turned up several times on the dot for her shop updates, and I don't know what it is. If it's whether it's because I'm in Switzerland or something weird happens. I refresh and refresh. It shows the shop of having absolutely nothing in. After a few minutes, a couple, 2-3 minutes, which I already know is enough for her to shop to sell out, it suddenly shows the shop was there, often with about half the stuff sold out, but anything I try and put on my cart, the moment I do, it says it's sold out. And I've tried several times, so I was really, really, really grateful to receive this. And it's just beautiful. It's one of her typical little sock sacks. This is definitely a sock project bag, a one skein, one skein project, a hat, one skein project. It's beautiful drawstring, again with her lovely canvas, which is just, these are useful kind of things for me. They're just a bit more sturdy, and I can go around with them with the kids and not think that I'm going to ruin them. And it's just beautiful. So I didn't say So I said who sent me all of those things, so who sent me the liner magazine and who sent me Jules herself from So Sweet Violet, but I also want to just make sure I say that this was sent to me by Sewing V on Instagram. Her name is Vikki and she's in the UK. Thank you so much. That is everything that I had to share with you this week. In the end, it feels like quite a lot. I hope that it was still interesting. But it was a really special couple of weeks for me, both with the Get Your Young Wishes Granted and preparing for the indie gift along, which is going to be a lot of fun. If you're remotely interested, go and have a little look and see if it interests you more to join in. I just want to say, you don't have to purchase necessarily any of the patterns which are currently on sale. They're just a wonderful opportunity for you and to join in. You can check your library, see if you have any patterns which come from any of the participating designers. There is a thread where you can see the participating designers. Any of their patterns, if you knit them, any paid for pattern qualifies for physical prizes. Any pattern at all, I believe, qualifies for prizes. So even if you're knitting a free pattern of theirs, you can certainly take part. You'll have to look at the rules but what I remember is that to qualify for physical prizes, you have to be knitting a paid for pattern from one of the designers. There are also an awful lot of prizes which are basically consist of free pattern downloads for designers. So all the designers have contributed, including myself, codes which will allow each winner to download any pattern of their choice from that designer's Ravelry store. So there's lots and lots of reasons to join in. It's a lot of fun and it certainly gets me very much in the Christmas spirit. By the next time I talk to you, it will already be December. We will be in Advent. I can't wait for it. At the same time, I have so many things I want to do for Advent and I haven't even got started yet. Anyway, before that, my little son turns 3 in a couple of days, so we've got that to do first. I hope that wherever you are, you're having a wonderful time. I certainly hope that you're having fun knitting things for yourself, or if you're in full gift knitting, that you're enjoying it and it's not too much of a chore. And I'm really looking forward to checking in with you all again in the future. In the meantime, be sure to check out all the links down below. If you've enjoyed, please click subscribe. And if you want to be notified for when I release a video, it's not enough to click subscribe. You have to click that little notifications bell next to subscribed. Okay, that is all the information that I wanted to get in. So I'm going to say goodbye to all of you and hopefully be seeing you again very soon. Bye!